Victoria Sterling never imagined that staying late at Blackwood Industries would change her entire world. She had been working as a secretary for 3 months, quietly managing schedules and organizing meetings for one of America's most mysterious billionaires. Jonathan Blackwood was known for his brilliant business mind and his preference for solitude. But nobody really knew the man behind the fortune. The office building stood like a glass giant against the New York skyline, its 40 floors reaching toward the stars. Most employees left by 6 in the evening, but Victoria often stayed until 8, perfecting every detail of her work. She believed in doing things right even if nobody noticed. That Tuesday evening felt different. The autumn rain tapped gently against the windows, creating a peaceful rhythm that filled the empty corridors. Victoria had finished organizing the next day's board meeting files and was preparing to leave when she noticed a soft, blue light coming from the restricted 42nd floor. She had never been up there before. In fact, she had never seen anyone use the elevator to reach that level. Her curiosity got the better of her. The elevator required a special key card, but the doors were slightly open, as if someone had forgotten to close them properly. Victoria stepped inside and pressed the button for the 42nd floor, her heart beating faster with each passing second. When the doors opened, she found herself in a completely different world. The entire floor was designed like an observatory, with a massive telescope pointing toward the ceiling, which was actually a retractable dome. Stars twinkled through the opening, and computer screens displayed images of distant galaxies. The room felt magical, filled with wonder and possibility. But Victoria was not alone. Jonathan Blackwood stood at the telescope, his usually perfect business suit replaced by a simple sweater and jeans. His dark hair was slightly messy, and his eyes reflected the starlight. He looked younger, more human, and completely absorbed in whatever he was observing through the lens. Victoria tried to step back quietly, but her heel clicked against the metal floor. Jonathan turned around, his expression shifting from surprise to something that looked like fear. "I'm sorry, Mr. Blackwood," Victoria said softly. "I saw the light and thought someone might need help. I didn't know this place existed." Studied her face for a long moment, as if trying to decide whether to trust her. "Nobody knows about this room," he said finally. "It's my private space. I won't tell anyone," Victoria promised. "But why do you keep it secret? This place is beautiful." Jonathan walked over to one of the computer screens which showed an image of a nebula painted in colors that seemed too beautiful to be real. "My father built this observatory," he explained. "He was an astronomer before he became a businessman. He used to bring me here when I was a child and tell me stories about the stars." Victoria moved closer, fascinated by the images on the screens. "Where is he now?" "He died 5 years ago," Jonathan said quietly. "Cancer. He spent his last months up here, watching the stars and talking about the possibility of life beyond our planet. People thought he was losing his mind, but I believed him. I still do." The vulnerability in his voice surprised Victoria, the powerful CEO she knew during business hours seemed to disappear, replaced by someone who carried deep sadness and wonder in equal measure. "Do you think we're alone in the universe?" Victoria asked, genuinely curious. Jonathan smiled for the first time since she had known him. "My father used to say that the universe is too big and too beautiful for us to be the only ones enjoying it. He believed that somewhere among those stars, there are others who look up at the sky and wonder about us too." Victoria felt a strange connection forming between them, something that went beyond the usual employer and employee relationship. "May I look through the telescope?" Jonathan nodded and adjusted the instrument for her height. When Victoria peered through the eyepiece, she gasped. The moon appeared so close she felt she could reach out and touch its silver surface. Craters and mountains were clearly visible, creating a landscape that seemed both alien and familiar. "It's incredible," she whispered. "I never realized how detailed the moon actually is." "Most people never take the time to really look," Jonathan said, standing close enough that she could smell his cologne mixed with the cool night air. "They're too busy with their earthly concerns to notice the wonders right above their heads." Victoria continued to explore the sky through the telescope. Jonathan found himself studying her face. Her brown eyes reflected the starlight, and her expression showed genuine amazement and curiosity. For the first time in years, he was sharing his passion with someone who understood its beauty. "There's something else I want to show you," Jonathan said, moving to a different computer. The screen displayed what looked like radio wave patterns, constantly changing and pulsing with different colors. "These are signals from space. Most of them are natural phenomena, but some are different." Victoria watched the patterns dance across. "The screen different how?" "They show signs of artificial origin, patterns that suggest intelligence behind them." Jonathan's voice became more excited. "My father spent years trying to decode them, and I've continued his work. I believe these signals are proof that we're not alone." The implications of what he was saying slowly sank in. Victoria felt a mixture of excitement and fear. "Have you tried to contact them?" "I've been working on it for 3 years," Jonathan admitted. "I've built equipment that can send signals back, but I've never had the courage to actually do it." "What if they respond? What if they don't? What if contact changes everything we think we know about ourselves?" Victoria understood his hesitation. The possibility of alien contact was both thrilling and terrifying. But looking at Jonathan's passionate expression, she realized that this secret had been weighing on him for too long. "Maybe you need someone to help you," she suggested gently. "This is too big for one person to carry alone." Jonathan looked surprised. "You would want to be involved in something like this? It could be dangerous. It could be nothing. It could change your entire life." Victoria thought about her quiet existence, her routine days, and her dreams of adventure that she had never dared to pursue. "Mr. Blackwood, I've spent my whole life playing it safe, doing what was expected of me. Maybe it's time I did something extraordinary." The trust in her eyes moved Jonathan deeply. For 5 years, he had carried his father's legacy alone, afraid to share it with anyone who might think him crazy or try to exploit his discoveries for profit. But Victoria's genuine interest and courage gave him hope. "If we do this together," Jonathan said seriously, "there's no going back. Once we send that signal, we'll have crossed a line that humanity has never crossed before." Victoria smiled, feeling more alive than she had in years. "Then let's cross it together." As they stood in the starlit observatory, surrounded by the vast mystery of the universe, neither of them realized that their decision would soon bring them face to face with wonders beyond their imagination. The rain continued to fall gently against the dome above them, but inside their protective bubble of glass and steel, two souls had found each other among the stars. Jonathan began explaining the technical aspects of the communication system, his excitement growing with each word. Victoria listened intently, asking intelligent questions that showed she was truly engaged with the scientific possibilities. As the hours passed, they lost track of time, absorbed in planning their first attempt at interstellar communication. The city below them slept peacefully, unaware that high above in a secret observatory, two people were preparing to change the course of human history forever. Their professional relationship had transformed into something deeper. Bonded by shared wonder and the courage to reach for the impossible, when they finally decided to call it a night, both Victoria and Jonathan knew that everything had changed. Between them, they were no longer just CEO and secretary. They were partners in the greatest adventure of their lives. Standing on the threshold of discovery that could reshape humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. 3 weeks had passed since Victoria Sterling first stepped into Jonathan Blackwood's secret observatory. Those weeks had been filled with late evenings spent fine-tuning communication equipment, studying star charts, and building the courage to make contact with whatever intelligence might be listening among the stars. Victoria had proven herself to be not just a capable assistant, but a brilliant partner whose intuitive understanding of the project amazed Jonathan daily. Their relationship had evolved into something deeper than professional collaboration. Victoria found herself looking forward to their evening sessions, not just for the scientific excitement, but for the way Jonathan's eyes lit up when he explained complex theories. Jonathan, meanwhile, had begun to see Victoria as the missing piece he never knew he needed, someone who could share his wonder without judgment or fear. The breakthrough came on a cold November night. Victoria was monitoring the radio telescopes while Jonathan adjusted the transmission array when the computer screen suddenly filled with organized patterns unlike anything they had seen before. The signals weren't random cosmic noise or natural phenomena. They were clearly artificial, structured, and most remarkably, they seemed to be responding to the weak signals Jonathan had been sending into space. "Jonathan, you need to see this," Victoria called, her voice trembling with excitement and nervousness. Jonathan rushed to her side and stared at the screen in disbelief. The patterns were beautiful and complex, like mathematical poetry written in light. More importantly, they were increasing in strength and clarity, as if something was moving closer to Earth. "They're responding," Jonathan whispered, hardly believing his own words. "After all these years, they're actually responding." But their celebration was interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a former NASA scientist whom Jonathan had secretly hired months earlier, emerged from the elevator with urgent news written across her face. "Jonathan, we have a situation," Dr. Vasquez announced. "My contacts at the space monitoring stations are reporting an unidentified object approaching Earth's orbit. It's massive, and it's not following any natural trajectory." Victoria felt her heart skip a beat. "You think it's connected to our signals?" "I'm certain of it," Dr. Vasquez replied, pulling up satellite images on her tablet. "The object appeared shortly after your last transmission. It's approximately 2 kilometers long, clearly artificial, and it's broadcasting the same signal patterns you've been receiving." Jonathan stared at the images of what was unmistakably an alien spacecraft. Part of him felt vindicated that his father's beliefs had been correct, but another part was terrified of the implications. First contact with an alien civilization was happening, and they were responsible for initiating it. "What do we do now?" Victoria asked, her voice steady, despite the magnitude of the situation. "We have perhaps 12 hours before other governments detect the spacecraft," Dr. Vasquez explained. "If we're going to maintain control of this situation, we need to establish direct communication immediately." Jonathan made a decision that would change everything. "We're going to the Nevada facility." Victoria looked confused. "What Nevada facility? I've been preparing for this possibility for 3 years." Jonathan explained as he began shutting down the observatory equipment. "I have a private research station in the desert, completely off the grid, with communication equipment powerful enough to reach that ship directly." Within 6 hours, they were aboard Jonathan's private jet, flying through the pre-dawn darkness toward a destination that existed on no official maps. Victoria watched the sunrise paint the clouds in shades of gold and pink. Wondering if this might be one of the last normal sunrises in human history, the Nevada facility was hidden in a valley, surrounded by red rock formations. It looked like a high-tech research station, complete with massive satellite dishes and buildings that hummed with electronic equipment. Jonathan had invested millions of dollars in creating this place, hoping he would never need to use it. "How long have you been planning this?" Victoria asked as they toured the facility. "Since the day my father died," Jonathan admitted. "He made me promise that if contact ever became possible, I would handle it carefully, privately, before governments. And military organizations could turn it into a weapon or a threat." Dr. Vasquez immediately began calibrating the communication arrays while Victoria helped Jonathan prepare the most important message in human history. They decided to keep it simple. Basic mathematical concepts, images of Earth and its inhabitants, and an expression of peaceful intentions. The alien ship had stopped just beyond the moon's orbit, waiting. Through telescopic observation, they could see it was unlike any human technology, with flowing curves and surfaces that seemed to shift and change like living metal. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. "Signal ready for transmission," Dr. Vasquez announced. Jonathan looked at Victoria, seeking reassurance in her eyes. "Are you ready for this?" Victoria squeezed his hand gently. "We've come this far together. Let's finish what we started." Jonathan pressed the transmission button, sending humanity's first intentional message to an alien civilization. For long minutes, nothing happened. Then, the screens filled with response signals so complex and beautiful that they took everyone's breath away. But the real surprise came when the signals began translating themselves into recognizable images and sounds. The aliens had somehow decoded human language patterns from television and radio broadcasts and were attempting to communicate in English. A voice, melodic and strange, yet clearly intelligent, filled the facility. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the Nexari. We have watched your world with great interest and come in peace to meet those who called to us among the stars." Victoria felt tears streaming down her face as she realized she was witnessing the most important moment in human history. Was equally moved. Thinking of his father and how proud he would have been to see this day, the voice continued, "We request permission to send a small delegation to meet with you. We sense wisdom and courage in your signals, and we hope to begin a friendship between our peoples." Jonathan found his voice and spoke into the communication device. "We welcome you in peace and friendship. We are honored by your presence and eager to learn from each other." Over the next several hours, arrangements were made for a landing site in the desert near the facility. The aliens explained that they had been observing Earth for many years, waiting for humans to develop enough technologically and socially to handle contact without panic or violence. As the alien shuttle descended from the mothership, Victoria and Jonathan stood hand in hand, watching history unfold before their eyes. The craft was smaller than expected, perhaps the size of a large aircraft, but it moved with impossible grace and silence. When the shuttle touched down on the desert floor, a doorway opened with a soft chime that sounded almost musical. 3 figures emerged, humanoid in shape, but clearly not human. They were tall and elegant, with elongated limbs and faces that combined familiar and alien features. Their skin had a subtle luminescence, and their eyes held depths of intelligence and kindness. The lead figure approached Jonathan and Victoria with slow, deliberate movements designed to appear non-threatening. When it spoke, its voice was the same melodic tone they had heard through the radio. "I am Ambassador Nexa of the Nexari. We are grateful for your courage in reaching out to us. Your species shows great promise, though you face challenges that concern us." Victoria found the courage to respond, "We're honored to meet you, Ambassador Nexa. We represent only a small group of humans, but we hope to build understanding between our peoples." Ambassador Nexa's expression seemed to convey approval. "You were chosen as our first contacts because your signals carried not just intelligence, but wisdom and genuine curiosity. We sense in you the potential for your species to grow beyond its current limitations." As the sun set over the Nevada desert, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, the first diplomatic meeting between humans and aliens began in earnest. Jonathan and Victoria found themselves serving as Earth's unofficial ambassadors, translating not just languages but entire ways of thinking about existence, consciousness, humanity's place in the cosmic community. The conversations revealed that the Nexari were part of a larger galactic civilization that had been waiting for humanity to mature enough for contact. They had been subtly guiding human development through inspiration and dreams, helping scientists and artists make breakthroughs that would prepare Earth for eventual integration into the galactic community. But they also brought warnings. Other alien civilizations were not as patient or benevolent as the Nexari. Humanity would need to unite and evolve quickly to face the challenges that lay ahead. The window of time for peaceful development was closing, and difficult choices would soon have to be made. As Victoria listened to these revelations, she realized that her simple life as a secretary was truly over. She and Jonathan were now the bridge between humanity and the stars, carrying responsibilities that no humans had ever faced before. The weight of it should have been crushing, but instead she felt energized by the purpose and meaning it gave her existence. Jonathan, meanwhile, was thinking about his father's dreams and how they had led to this extraordinary why moment. The observatory, the years of research, the decision to trust Victoria with his secrets, all of it had been preparation for this pivotal point in human history. The night was filled with wonder, revelation, and the beginning of a new Chapter 4, both humanity and the relationship growing between Victoria and Jonathan. Forged in starlight and destined to span galaxies, 6 months had transformed Victoria Sterling's world beyond recognition. The secret meetings with the Nexari had evolved into a complex diplomatic relationship that required her to spend weeks at a time aboard their mothership, learning their customs and helping establish protocols for eventual public contact with humanity. The shy secretary who had once organized mundane business meetings was now serving as Earth's primary cultural ambassador to an alien civilization. The Nexari mothership was a marvel that defied human understanding of technology and beauty. Its corridors seemed to grow and reshape themselves as needed. Walls glowed with soft, living light. Gardens filled with impossible plants created ecosystems that existed nowhere else in the universe. Victoria had her own quarters there, designed to accommodate human needs while introducing her to Nexari concepts of harmony and balance. Jonathan visited the ship regularly, but his role had become more complicated. As news of alien contact slowly leaked to world governments, he found himself under pressure from multiple agencies wanting to control or weaponize the relationship. The private research facility in Nevada had become a fortress, protected by advanced Nexari technology that could shield it from satellite observation and electronic surveillance. Ambassador Nexa had become Victoria's closest friend among the Nexari, a relationship that transcended species boundaries. Through her, Victoria learned that the Nexari viewed love and emotional connection as the highest forms of intelligence, more valuable than technology or conquest. This philosophy resonated deeply with Victoria, who had always believed that understanding between people was more important than power over them, but the relationship between Victoria and Jonathan had become strained by the enormity of their responsibilities. They rarely had time alone together, and when they did meet, their conversations were dominated by diplomatic protocols and strategic planning. The intimacy that had grown between them in the observatory seemed to be fading under the weight of cosmic significance. The crisis came when the Nexari High Council made an unexpected announcement. They were preparing to leave Earth's vicinity permanently, taking their mothership to another part of the galaxy where younger civilizations needed guidance. The window for human integration into the galactic community was closing faster than anticipated due to political instability on Earth and the approach of less friendly alien forces. The Council has decided that humanity is not yet ready for open contact. Ambassador Nexa explained to Victoria and Jonathan during what they knew would be one of their final meetings aboard the ship. The violence and division we observe in your world's governments convince us that public revelation would lead to chaos rather than growth. Victoria felt her heart breaking, but we've made so much progress. The cultural exchanges, the scientific collaborations, the understanding we've built together. As Nexa agreed, her luminous eyes reflecting genuine sadness. And that progress has not been wasted. But we must think in terms of centuries rather than years. Your species will have other opportunities when it has matured. Jonathan, who had been unusually quiet during the meeting, finally spoke. What about the individuals who have been involved in this project? What happens to Victoria, to Dr. Vasquez? To the others who have devoted their lives to this relationship? Nexa's response was both an honor and a heartbreak. Those who have proven themselves capable of transcending their species' limitations are welcome to join us. The invitation is extended particularly to Victoria, whose natural empathy and wisdom make her exceptionally suited for interspecies diplomacy. She could continue her work among the stars, helping other young civilizations navigate their first contact experiences. The offer hung in the air like a beautiful, terrible possibility. Victoria would be able to continue the work. That had become her passion, traveling between worlds and facilitating understanding between different forms of life. She would see wonders beyond imagination and play, a role in shaping the future of multiple civilizations. But accepting would mean leaving Earth forever, leaving behind everything and everyone she had ever known, including Jonathan. Victoria looked at Jonathan, seeing in his eyes the same conflict she felt in her heart. He wanted her to be happy and fulfilled, even if it meant losing her. But she could also see the love there, the hope that she might choose to stay with him, despite the opportunity being offered. I need time to think about this, Victoria said. Finally, of course, Nexa replied with understanding. You have 3 days before we depart. The choice is yours, and whatever you decide will be honored and respected. That night, Victoria and Jonathan walked together under the Nevada stars, the same stars that had brought them together in the observatory months earlier. But now those points of light represented not just wonder and possibility, but also separation and difficult choices. "You should go," Jonathan said, though his voice carried the pain of that suggestion. "This opportunity will never come again. You could literally help shape the future of the galaxy." Victoria stopped walking and turned to face him. "Is that what you really want for me to leave?" Jonathan was quiet for a long moment, struggling with the conflict between his love for her and his desire to see her fulfill her incredible potential. "I want you to be happy. I want you to become everything you're capable of becoming, even if that means I lose you." "What if I don't want to choose between love and purpose?" Victoria asked. "What if I believe they should enhance each other rather than compete?" Before Jonathan could respond, they were interrupted by Dr. Vasquez, who approached with urgent news, receiving communications from multiple government agencies. "Someone leaked information about the alien contact, and military forces are mobilizing toward our location. The Nexari ship has also detected approaching spacecraft that are not from Earth." The moment of personal decision had collided with a crisis that threatened everything they had built. Jonathan immediately switched into leadership mode, coordinating with the Nexari to activate defensive systems around the facility, while Victoria found herself in the unexpected role of mediating between human and alien military responses. "Ambassador." Nexa informed them that the approaching non-terrestrial craft belonged to the Kithra, a militant alien faction that viewed human contact with the Nexaray as a threat to galactic stability. The Cathora believed that young civilizations should be conquered and controlled rather than guided and befriended. "This changes everything," Nexa explained during an emergency meeting. "The Cathira will not simply leave if we depart. They will remain to ensure that humanity never achieves galactic status. Your people will face a choice between subjugation and destruction." Victoria realized that her personal decision had become intertwined with humanity's fate. If she went with the Nexari, she could potentially help negotiate protection for Earth from other galactic powers. If she stayed, humanity would face the Kithara alone and unprepared. But Jonathan had a different idea. "What if we don't run or hide? What if we stand together and fight for the right of both our species to make their own choices?" The battle that followed tested everything they had learned about cooperation, courage, and the power of different forms of intelligence working in harmony. Human ingenuity combined with Nexori technology, while Victoria's diplomatic skills proved crucial in convincing wavering Kithara commanders that conquest was less valuable than cooperation. When the immediate crisis passed and the Kithara had been convinced to withdraw, Victoria and Jonathan found themselves changed by the experience. They had seen that love and partnership could be sources of strength rather than weakness, that personal relationships could enhance rather than compete with cosmic responsibilities. Ambassador Nexa approached them with a new proposal. "The High Council has reconsidered. Your species has shown that it can unite in the face of external threats, and that individuals like yourselves can bridge different worlds, while remaining true to your own hearts. We propose a gradual integration process, with you two serving as permanent liaisons between our civilizations." Victoria looked at Jonathan, seeing in his smile the same joy and relief she felt in her own heart. They would not have to choose between love and purpose. They could have both, building a life together that spanned worlds while helping both species grow and evolve. As they stood together under the alien stars, watching Nexari and human children play together in the facilities courtyard, Victoria and Jonathan knew that their love story had become part of something much larger. They had found each other among the stars, and now they would spend their lives helping others make the same kinds of connections across the vast distances of space and heart. The universe, it turned out, was not just vast and beautiful, but also intimate and loving, filled with opportunities for connection that transcended any single world or species. And in that cosmic love story, Victoria and Jonathan had found their perfect place, together among the infinite possibilities of the stars. Their wedding, celebrated by both human and Nexari traditions under the light of 2 moons, marked not just the union of 2 hearts, but the beginning of a new chapter in the relationship between Earth and the galaxy, written in love and sealed with starlight.